Government corruption has never been more prevalent or caused more harm. It's why extremism is on the rise. It's why the financial gap between the haves and have-nots has never been wider. And it's why our planet is at risk of an extinction level tragedy. That's why I need your help to keep exposing the truth about the rot on both sides of the aisle. Become a supporter or a friend of the show today by clicking on the coffee link in the description box below. Friends of the show join me on a Zoom hangout once a month, and you guys can ask me any questions you want, and I can get to know you better. But the most important reason to help is to keep the show alive. Together, we can and will save our country and our planet. Thanks in advance and enjoy the show. Everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. I have an update to share about one of Trump's Capitol insurrectionists. It's time for an episode of Where Are They Now?
Matthew Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
So you're going to remember this woman, 56-year-old Simone Gold. She's a California resident. She's the founder of America's Frontline Doctors. That's the group that includes that voodoo doctor lady I talked about probably, well over a year ago, Stella Emanuel. She's a doctor who believes that women develop endometriosis and ovarian cysts because they're unknowingly having sex with demons and witches in their dreams. Yeah, that's real. I'm not making this up. That's the kind of doctor in this group, apparently. That's who they let into this group. And the leader of the group, like I said, Dr. Simone Gold, she was at the Capitol on January 6th. She spoke at an event outside of the Capitol, and then she ventured inside with a bullhorn, and she stood on a statue, and she was yelling to the mob about vaccines and mask mandates, COVID lockdowns, and so forth. Now, the prosecutor also contends that Gold failed to aid officers. They said that even though she's an emergency physician, she did not help an officer who was in trouble physically. And the prosecutor said that Gold and her boyfriend used an attack on an officer as an opportunity to advance toward the Capitol building rather than stopping to help him. So Gold was arrested on January 18th of last year. She was indicted on charges of obstructing an official proceeding, entering a restricted building or grounds, 2 counts of disorderly conduct, and also parading in a Capitol building. She pled guilty in March of this year to the entering a restricted building charge. So Gold was facing up to 1 year in prison, up to 1 year of probation, and up to $100,000 in fines. However, prosecutors had only requested 90 days in jail, 1 year probation, and 60 hours of community service. Gold's attorney, of course, wanted no jail time, but they did agree to the probationary period and the community service hours that were requested by the prosecutor. What's really interesting in this case, though, is that the probation office, which makes recommendations about sentences, they requested more jail time. They recommended more jail time than the prosecutor. The probation office recommended 6 months in jail. At the sentencing hearing, prosecutor April Ayers Perez told the court that Gold and her co-defendant, John Strand, quote, are right at the front of that mob. There is one police officer. You see this Capitol police officer wedged against the East Rotunda door, which has already had a window broken out. He is in distress. He is pulled away from the door. He is pulled to the ground, and defendant Gold is standing there when it happened. But Gold's defense attorney claimed that she didn't see what happened and that basically her actions that day were harmless. He told the judge, quote, she didn't incite anybody. She didn't incite anybody in the crowd. Her speech wasn't about stop the steal. It was about mask mandates and vaccine mandates, which were of concern to her and the organization where she works. Gold also spoke on her own behalf at the hearing. She said that she's been silent since January 6th and has, quote, shown the court great respect. She also told the judge, quote, I'm shocked that the government doesn't think I'm remorseful. I've done everything in my power as I perceive it to show I regretted being inside the Capitol. Gold went on to say, quote, I try to do my best to help people in every situation. I became an emergency doctor, and I'm grateful because it means I can help people in a variety of situations. In addition, Gold told the judge, quote, I did not intend to become involved in a situation that is so destructive to our nation. It's the opposite of who I am. Now, Judge Christopher Cooper presided over this case, so I didn't have really any hope that she was going to get any time behind bars because even though he's an Obama appointee, he's been pretty lenient with most of these cases. But he seemed pretty pissed at her. Judge Cooper told Gold, quote, you were not simply a casual bystander. And then he said that he found it implausible that she didn't see that the officer had been dragged to the ground by the mob. And he also told her, quote, sitting here today, I don't think that you have truly accepted responsibility. I've read your statements. I've heard you here today. I've heard a lot about the manner in which you were arrested, about how this is a political prosecution, about how you lost your job. What I haven't heard is about the 5 people that died that day, the 4 people who committed suicide because of the trauma they suffered that day because of the mob, the congressional staffers who were behind closed doors as chaos was breaking out all around them. They didn't know if they would go home to their families. I haven't heard about that. And Cooper went on to say that with her education level, she should have known better. He told Gold, quote, you should have known what you were doing. I think you did know what you were doing. You're unlike a lot of other defendants before me who were misled and hoodwinked into coming to DC that day and have paid the price for that. I think you well knew what you were doing. And then the judge also seemed disgusted by the fact that Gold has raised almost $500,000 for her so-called legal defense, but it's also purportedly going to her $20,000 a month salary. And that's through the Frontline Doctors website. He said, quote, I find it unseemly that your organization is raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for its operations, including your salary, based on your participation in Jan 6. I think that this is a real disservice to the true victims of that day. So when all was said and done, Gold was sentenced to 60 days in jail and 1 year of probation. And then she also received the largest fine that I've seen so far, which was $9,500. And she was also ordered to pay an additional $500 in restitution. So, you know, she's very lucky she got Cooper as a judge. You know, had it been any of the actual tough judges, they would have absolutely followed the advice of the probation board and she would have deserved it, you know? And the shitty thing is, this is just going to make her more of a martyr in MAGA world. So, you know, it's better than nothing. And it's more than I expected from Cooper. So I'll take it. As I've said before, I've lowered my expectation about all of these cases, sadly, but anyway, guys, when and if I hear more, I will let you know. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care. I'll talk with you soon.